Good morning. It's Thursday, October 10th, and Election Day is less than 4 weeks away. And I am growing somewhat anxious near Election Day because I do not think that Kamala Harris has her feet on the floor and running hard. Somehow or other, I'm looking at this election campaign as stalling. Why? Why am I not hearing more good things about what Kamala's doing? It seems to me that she's cruising toward the finish line when she should be taking deep breaths and running hard. But that doesn't seem to be the way that she's handling it. She started off like a house on fire, and she swiftly secured the Democratic presidential nomination. And she headlined the riotous convention, and she brought in millions of dollars in campaign donations. And Biden's poll numbers, which were horrible, disappeared. She jumped to the front. So why now are we anxious over Harris's fate? Because her campaign is stuck in the mud. There are familiar debates that are cropping up all over on how to deploy precious resources. But Harris's advisor, her many advisors, are publicly dismissing the poll. They acknowledge that the race is close, and they believe it will be close to Election Day. But just weeks to go and multiple blitzes to the battleground states and a debate that wiped away memories of Biden's poor performance, the needle has barely moved. So Kamala is stuck in the mud, so to speak. Harris is the first major party presidential nominee in 6 decades not to have won a competitive primary. And that is a lingering doubt about how the election can possibly turn out. The people are nervous. They recognize that the polls are tight. But people are thinking back to 2016 when they thought they had the election won, and it slipped through their fingers because the Democratic candidate at that time, Hillary Clinton, did not go to those primary states that count. She avoided going there, and that cost her and the Democrats the presidential seat. So I think that many Democrats remember that and are worried about that situation right now. And if you look closely at this situation, you recognize the fact that the Democrats are not sure what their base looks like. They are trying to figure out how to win over some GOP moderates who have soured on Donald Trump. Now that's a questionable tactic because who knows how that could turn out. That's like gambling on some investment when you're not really sure. Now there are others who are looking to mobilize men and men of color to turn out. That's a Democratic point. That's a demographic point of concern among the Harris campaign officials. Who in the universe of the United States can they concentrate on and pull out of the Republican ranks? And suburban women are a key demographic that seems to have shifted toward the Democrats during the Trump era. But there are questions as to whether that will be enough to offset the advantages that Trump has with men. And I don't understand why Trump has an advantage with men. Are all the men in this country blind and stupid? I don't know. And then there are others who are pointing at the Hispanic voters. And they're worried about bringing them over to the Democratic ranks. And that used to be a sure thing a few years ago. And what about the Arab Americans and the younger voters who are angry over U.S. policy in Israel? Now, they should not be angry at the U.S. policy in Israel, but we see on the college campuses the morons that run about denying Israel the right to exist, playing right into the hands of the Gazans and right into the hands of all those that hate the Jew. So this is a mess. This campaign right now is a mess. It's a puzzle where none of the pieces seem to fit together. And my nervous energy stems from the simple fact of the race's very tight margins. The Harris campaign considers the 7 most competitive battleground states to be tied or within the margin of error. And we all know from past elections that those 7 swing states really decide the eventual winner. So the country can vote any which way it wants. But those 7 states have to vote for your guy or he's not going to win. It's that simple. But is it simple enough to go there and get the votes that you need? I don't think they're doing everything correctly at this point. And there are many pathways toward 270 electoral votes. But none of them exist without the 7 swing states. So even though there's a so-called blue wall or a sun belt, no path that Kamala is taking right now seems guaranteed. And that's a battle. That's a battle to figure out where and when and how to be there. But I don't think she's doing that. I'm not sure her advisors are acting correctly either. So in my mind, this presidential race will be tight to the very finish. And that means that Kamala Harris has to bust her ass for another 3.5 weeks or so. There can be no letdown. There can be no misstep in the campaign trail. So I worry about that because the nation desperately needs someone other than Donald Trump at the head. I will leave you with these crazy thoughts this morning. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.